I'd like to welcome everybody to the Dothan Business Hall of Fame. It's our 4th annual banquet and induction ceremony. And we'd like to thank you for joining us this evening. This is a very special night. My name is Bob Woodall. I'm chairman of the Dothan Area Chamber of Commerce. And some of y'all will may not believe it, I'm the master of ceremony tonight. And I do not look like Angie Casey. When I got the word, I said, well, Angie's doing this, right? And they said, no. I said, Jeff Coleman, he kind of started this 4 years ago. Jeff's doing it, right? No. I said, who's doing it? They said, you. So it is what it is. And I am honored and thrilled to be here. At this time, I'd like to ask Dr. Joseph Johnson from the Evergreen Presbyterian Church to have our invocation.
Let us pray. God of provisions, you have blessed us with persons of wisdom and leadership born on the wings of years, who live in faithful devotion and service to you and to us. Norma, Larry, John, Larry, Jack, we think of these and others. Bless them all, we pray. God of comfort, you have blessed us with a community for which we care and in which we live. We are grateful for those who have given of themselves to create a spirit of goodness and provide an example of wholesome living. Bless those who thrive in our community and also those who struggle in it. May we meet each other in mutual sharing and receiving. God of power, you have blessed us with dominion over the creation that belongs to you. Bless each one of us with a large purpose and a wide vision for the living of these days, and make us thankful for these children of yours, these friends of ours that we honor tonight. God of all things and all people, we pray with expectant resolve to be partners with you in all goodness and kindness. To that end, strengthen us by the receiving and sharing of food and the celebration of your grace among us. We pray in the spirit of peace and goodness. Amen.
Yes. We'd like y'all to just relax, have dinner. There's a lot of video presentation. I will not be speaking very much, which is a good thing. This is a very honored event that we take very serious, and we're humbled of your presence. So enjoy, and we will see you in a few minutes. Thank you. Dinner, I thought, was excellent. Great job. Tonight is a special night, and before we begin our induction ceremony, we'd like to take a moment to recognize our past Hall of Fame laureates. Watch the video, please. think that deserves a round of applause. We have an exciting evening planned tonight, and the Dothan Business Hall of Fame was established in May of 2011 by the Dothan Area Chamber of Commerce and the Dothan Area Young Professionals. The Hall of Fame's mission is to pay recognition to small business leaders, local business leaders, who have made an impact on the community by promoting the free enterprise system of entrepreneurship. To honor those individuals who have spent a lifetime demonstrating civic leadership and service beyond self toward their fellow citizens. The Hall of Fame plaques honoring the laureates are located in a prominent location at the Dothan Area Chamber of Commerce, where it may be seen by chamber members, prospective members, industrial prospects, visitors, and the general public. At this time, I'd like to bring Aaron Craig, the chairman of the Dothan Area Young Professionals, up to say a couple of words.
Thank you and welcome. As he said, I'm Aaron Craig, the chairman for the Dothan Area Young Professionals, and I've really enjoyed my time this year as chairman. And as part of that, I've really enjoyed working with Bob, as he's the chairman of the chamber this year. And he's taught me a lot about leadership this year. He's taught me the importance of having fun. And most importantly, though, he's taught me that it is possible to be a business leader in this town without ever having to wear a pair of socks. So, Bob Woodall. The Dothan Area Young Professionals are honored to have been asked to partner with the Chamber for this Business Hall of Fame recognition program. With a mission to enrich our community by uniting and developing young professionals, the Dothan Area Young Professionals feel that being a part of this program not only enhances our objective, but also gives us the opportunity to further support participation in philanthropic activities. Thank you for being here tonight.
Now we move to the reason why we're here, and it's to honor 5 outstanding business leaders. And the cool thing is I've known every one of them, and I feel very honored to have known every one of these. The first one, our first laureate, was an entrepreneur, a businesswoman, a community leader, a visionary, a mentor, and a tremendous role model to so many of us. Just her voice, we all know that voice, that smile, her presence is greatness. It warms my heart when I see Miss Norma. Her professional career, that wasn't on here, by the way. I just had to kind of throw that in there. Her professional career began in 1957 when she received the most outstanding student alumni award at the University of Alabama. This lady has exceeded even her own goals and set new standards for the women and men who followed in her path. She inspires people with every word and every gesture. Norma Saliba Hanson.
Words that best describe Norma Saliba Hanson: entrepreneur, businesswoman, community leader, visionary, mentor, role model, wife, mother, and sister. Oh, we could find many more words that describe Norma, but we can't stay here for breakfast. So we'll just sum Norma Hanson up in one word: friend. Norma's professional career began in 1957 when she was chosen Most Outstanding Student Alumni at the University of Alabama. She later joined Tucker Wayne & Company, a prestigious marketing firm, and co-founded Slaughter Hanson, a preeminent advertising and design firm based in Dothan and Birmingham. There's one word that Norma doesn't know: quit. At a time in life when many professionals think of retirement, Norma founded Norma Hanson and Associates and based it in their hometown of Dothan. For the past 50 years, Norma Hanson has helped promote companies such as Flowers Hospital, Southeast Alabama Medical Center, Wallace Community College, South Trust Bank, the City of Dothan, Chamber of Commerce, and the list goes on and on. Norma has given thousands of hours of her time to nonprofits and religious organizations. She inspires us with every word and gesture and gives others confidence that they can be the best. Her zest and passion for work and her life has inspired all of us. She is a human energizer battery. She just keeps going and going and going. Norma Saliba Hanson, in business and in her personal life, she's a little bit of everything good. But more than anything, Norma Hanson is our friend.
When I was a boy and into adulthood, my mother had this fascination with April Fool's Day, and so she continued to play tricks on me all the time I was growing up and into young adulthood. And after she passed away, for some strange reason, my sister decided to maintain the strange tradition. About 20 years ago, and this one borders on cruelty, I think, I received a phone call in desperation from Norma saying, you know, Bill and I are in the Caribbean here. Everything's been stolen. We have no passport. We have no clothes. All our things, I don't know what to do. She was tearing up. I said, Norma, I'll get to the bank. I'll do whatever I need to do. I want to help you. This is awful. She said, April Fool. And you know, I thought, I'm almost 50 years old and I'm still falling for April Fool jokes from Norma Hanson. Whenever I think of Norma, I can't help but think of the song Wind Beneath My Wings. My entire life, Norma has been an inspiration to me and a motivational person for me, and continued to lift me up throughout my life. And I dare say that there are many people out here who've had that same encounter with Norma. She has an unusual gift, and that gift is she doesn't look at a person for their income status. She doesn't look at the color of their skin. She doesn't look at anything but reach inside to find the good in someone, ferret that good out, and lift that spirit. Achievement, what you've done is great, I've heard her say many times. I love the way you've raised your children. Whatever she finds good, rather than to bring someone down. And when you walk away from an encounter with Norma, you feel inspired, you feel uplifted, and you feel good. Tonight, Norma, we want to all tonight be the wind beneath your wings, and we want to lift you and honor you for the genuine person you are and for all the people you've inspired. Congratulations on this night.
Wow. I'm extremely appreciative of this honor. I'm humbled by it. I had a lot to live up to in my family. My grandfather came here in 1898, so we have a long legacy of love for Dothan, Alabama. I love Dothan. I can sell it anywhere I go. I loved growing up here. I loved the public schools. I loved my life. I loved being a cheerleader at Dothan High School. I loved all the things that make Dothan one of the best places in the world to grow up. And I'm grateful that I was able to raise our children here and that my brothers came back here to raise their families. I've been very blessed with both opportunities and blessings. I love the business world and I loved being a mother. So I had the best of both worlds, and I had the opportunity to re-enter the workforce after a 16-year sabbatical, and I couldn't wait. I couldn't imagine anybody not wanting to go out there, sell their products, and compete in the wonderful USA. I was very fortunate that I had a wonderful creative partner that helped me get started here in Dothan. And we grew a creative, driving, strong, motivational marketing company. And we took it to the limits. More importantly than that, and you know, you can win awards and do a lot of things like that bring attention, but my joy was in mentoring. I have a heart for young people, and I'll tell you the best part of my life, my business life, my personal life, has been in having the opportunity to mentor to a lot of young people. And they still come. They call me, can I come by and talk? Someone said you would help me, encourage me, because it's a daunting world out there today, and the college degree is not always enough. But I believe that that is one of the best, strongest gifts we can give to our young people. And I kept my door open, sometimes staying as late as 8, 9 o'clock at night, waiting for them to get off work so they could come and interview. Sometimes we don't take that seriously enough, but we don't take enough time as a business community to hear those interviews. They want our guidance. They need our nurturing. They need our encouragement. They need our love and interest. And believe you me, I love the feeling that you get when you're able to do that. I just had a passion. I've still got it. I can hardly stand still here in front of this podium. But because I had an energy and a drive to make it happen out there. I'll never, if I could do it, I'd start over tomorrow, all from the beginning, because it has just been a glorious ride. The University of Alabama took me out of Dothan High School. We didn't even have to take admittance exams. We just went right in. It was absolutely 4 great years for me. I got to work in Atlanta and learn how the big boys did it. But then I got to come back home and bring whatever I had to give. A lot of enthusiasm, a lot of willingness to work, taking a portfolio and pounding the pavement and selling a good product. I'm very proud of that. I'm proud of my family. I was very fortunate to have very supportive and encouraging parents who said that girls needed to be educated just like boys. And yes, we all had a work ethic, and it was encouraged, and the fact that I wanted to keep working and retired twice, went back in, went into re-entry again and again, was because I believe in it so much. But I believe in this town, and I believe in what we are doing and how we are growing, and I want to do and go and glow for as long as I have breath. I had a wonderful mentor in my older brother, Alfred. And I can't take anything away from J.E., who has been a wonderful support for me. They both encouraged me all the time. You can do anything you want to do. Believe in yourself. I never knew what it was like not to have some self-confidence, because my mother made me feel like I was Shirley Temple. She convinced me of that at 3 years old. So, but on a serious note, thank you again for this honor. I've got a wonderful cheerleader group over there who's been encouraging me all these many years, and even though they're not nearly as old as I am. But I want to close with a quote that hung on Alfred's wall, his office wall, for as long as he had an office. And I shall never forget it. It's by Leo Rostin, the Polish-born American humorist, sociologist, who said, "I cannot believe that the purpose of life is to be happy. I think the purpose of life is to be useful, to be responsible, to be honorable, to be compassionate. It is above all to matter, to count, to stand for something, to have made some difference that you lived at all." Thank you.
Wow. She just does something to me. I don't know about y'all. God, man, it's just, as my mama would say, awesome. Okay. Our next laureate was born in Dothan and graduated from Dothan High School and the University of Alabama. In 1970, he developed a hotel where the Dothan Clarion Inn and Suites is today. Over the past 20 years, with all of his ventures, he has created an award-winning major development company, Larry Bloomberg and Associates, which today manages 66 Marriott and Hilton hotels located in 10 states, and he employs over 2,200 people. Ladies and gentlemen, Larry Bloomberg.
It would be hard to find any name that better exemplifies the spirit of Dothan more than the name Bloomberg. For well over a century, the name has been synonymous with hard work, honesty, and integrity. And without question, Larry Bloomberg has carried the family name with pride. Larry Graham Bloomberg was born in 1944, graduated Dothan High School, attended the University of Alabama, where he was an honor student and fraternity president. He also served in the National Guard. Larry worked in Atlanta several years, but Georgia wasn't on his mind. Dothan was. So after preparing for a career in retail, Larry came home to the family's Bloomberg department store. And just like that escalator in the store went up, so did Larry's career. With the help of a highly successful developer, Larry constructed what is now the Clarion Inn, and from there used his masterful knowledge to grow his business into what it is today, an award-winning developer of 66 Marriott and Hilton hotels in 10 states with well over 2,000 employees. Other hotels might leave the light on for us, but Larry is the light, shining brightly in business, but brighter in his care for others. LBA Cares contributes to many projects, including Habitat for Humanity. Larry's generosity helps fund many nonprofits, and he's even given his time and money to the Bloomberg Family Jewish Community Services, a program that sponsors Temple Emmanuel's Family Relocation Project, established to boost the membership of Larry's congregation. A dozen families now call Dothan home because of Larry Bloomberg. A loving husband and father, Larry's steadfast commitment to being a caring and compassionate person toward others is reflected in financial support of projects that help people and animals in need. And like others tonight, makes Larry Bloomberg more than worthy of induction into the Business Hall of Fame.
I've known Larry as long as I've known anyone in my life, over 60 years for sure, and been business partners for 30 plus years. Larry has not always had it real easy, and that he had worked for many years to make things happen when all odds were against making it happen. And Larry has the vision and the tenacity to make it happen, as evidenced with the Bloomberg Foundation and the growth in the temple here, as well as the growth of the company. But Larry is the most meticulous person that I have ever been around. He probably has notes since he's been in business. He can go back and refer to anything by going back, through his notes. It's just unbelievable. I think that attention to detail and the way that he goes about doing things makes us a better company. The first thing Larry does when he comes to the office every day is walk around the office and speak to everyone that's here. Upstairs, downstairs, and as we've expanded, that walk has gotten greater, but he never misses a day. He knows and cares about the families of our associates, knows their names, their children's names, their pets' names. He is absolutely just a very caring person. I feel very blessed that Larry Bloomberg has been a part of my life for as many years as he has, and the positive influence that he has had on me and my family through the years.
Thank you. Thank you so much for this special recognition. I'm very grateful to the Dothan Area Chamber of Commerce and the Dothan Area Young Professionals for selecting me to receive this outstanding honor. If I may, I'd like to tell you a little more about my heritage and my early business career. My grandfather, Hyman Bloomberg, was 21 when he immigrated to America from Lithuania in 1890. His Dothan experience began as a peddler with a pack on his back, walking in the countryside from one farmhouse to another, selling his wares. In time, he bought a horse and then a buggy to help him in this venture. With his success, he opened a store in a small tent at the corner of Main and Foster Streets, just a few blocks from where we are tonight. That modest business evolved into Bloomberg & Sons, a full-service department store that prospered and reached its peak in the 1950s. With his family, they grew Bloomberg's into an iconic institution that was an integral part of the business fabric of the Dothan and tri-state community for 84 years, until the store closed in 1976. Having been around retail all my life and working at the store during Christmas holidays and summer breaks, and then after 2 years of retail experience in Atlanta in my early 20s, I was drawn back to Dothan in 1970 and joined Bloomberg's. After Laura and I moved here, I quickly realized that Bloomberg's was floundering because it and other downtown businesses had fallen prey to the new wave of suburban shopping centers. I realized that if we were to remain in Dothan, I had to find something else to do. Two uncles had opened motels years earlier, and it was from them that I got the idea of going into the hospitality business. So I found a tract of land at the intersection of the Circle and 231 South that I optioned for 6 months. But then I had to find a way to buy the land and build the hotel. Everywhere I went, I was turned down. I was told the land was too expensive, that a hotel couldn't be successful there. And then they pointed out the obvious, that I had no hotel background or experience in construction or marketing or finance. One night, as I lay awake, despairing about these obstacles, the name of Aaron Aronov divinely popped into my mind. I had met Mr. Aronov a year or so earlier, and before that, I met his son Jake at the University of Alabama. After this moment of divine inspiration, the next morning I called Jake, and I told him of my plans to develop a hotel. I asked him if he thought his father might be interested. He said he would mention it to him, and to my delight and surprise, several days later, they traveled down from Montgomery. I vividly remember riding around with Mr. Aronov and Jake and proudly showing them Dothan, and pitching the fact that Dothan was the commercial hub of the Wiregrass, that Highway 231 was like an interstate for travelers heading north and south, and the future impact of Disney World, which would open several months later in October of 1971. After 2 hours of Mr. Aronov at the wheel and his constant questions, he stopped right off the Circle in front of the property. Sitting in the driver's seat, he turned to me and said, "I like your land. What do you have in mind?" I told him that I would sell him half the property for half of what I had invested in it, and we developed the hotel together. He said fine, and we sealed the deal with a handshake. I am eternally grateful to the Aronovs for the confidence and trust they placed in an inexperienced 25-year-old. They gave me the opportunity to learn the hotel business from the ground up. Over the years, we continued to develop and acquire hotels, but our next big break came in 1993 when we developed the Dothan Fairfield Inn. This hotel was located on the Bloomberg family's Circle property that our grandfather bought in 1934. This venture launched us on a path to develop numerous Marriott and Hilton hotels, which we are still doing today. Unlike Bloomberg's struggles when I returned to Dothan, our Temple Emmanuel was flourishing and did so for many years. From our temple's founding in 1929, our Jewish community has always been warmly embraced by Dothan at large. However, about 10 years ago, with few new members and many of our elders passing away, our membership and activities began to decline. To reverse this trend, we took an idea and developed it. It was innovative and it was attention-getting, and this gave birth to our family relocation program. So far, we have moved 12 families to Dothan, and we have more in our pipeline. I feel that we are planting the seeds that will help our temple grow well into the future. And looking forward for our company, it is with confidence and pride that I watch the outstanding young leaders of our organization perpetuate and build on the successful history of LBA. The bedrock of that success is our humanism, our compassion, our giving, and the way we value and treat our associates. And they in turn give back to our many hotel communities through our LBA Cares program. And I know that our company's management will continue and perpetuate LBA's legacy of support for this wonderful city of Dothan that I am proud to call home. Thinking of home brings to mind my family, who have been so supportive of me over the years, and especially my wife, Laura, who is my biggest booster and closest confidant. And so, on behalf of the Bloomberg family, LBA, and the Jewish community of Dothan, I am deeply grateful to accept this honor. Thank you very much.
Our next laureate was born in Italy. In 1909, an immigrant to the United States from Ellis Island, at the age of 15, he was employed as a painter for Hedstrom, a Massachusetts company that built baby buggies. With a goal to learn everything in the manufacturing business, he moved up the ladder as the company rapidly grew and expanded. In 1949, he moved south to get the Dothan Hedstrom Union Company up and operating. A self-made man and Dothan business pioneer, he rose through the ranks to become vice president of the Hedstrom Company and general manager of the Dothan plant. He was a man of great faith, integrity, and moral soundness. John Conti.
Perhaps one of the most defining moments in Dothan's business history occurred in 1949. An immigrant from Italy moved from Massachusetts to Dothan. His name, John A. Conti. Consider this about Mr. Conti. At the age of 15, he got a job as a painter for the Hedstrom Corporation, a firm that built baby buggies. In 49, Mr. Conti was sent south to get a Dothan Hedstrom location up and running. From his meager beginnings, John rose through the ranks and became vice president and general manager of the Dothan plant. But John's reach extended far beyond his job. His impact benefiting all of us. Perhaps Chamber of Commerce President Matt Parker phrased it best. when he said about John, he helped sell Dothan, and his excitement and passion for his community helped other companies to come. Mr. Conti was the director of the chamber, a founding member of the biracial study group, a member of the Dothan Personnel Board where he served as chairman. He was on the board of the Von Bloomberg Center, South Trust Bank, and the Chapman Corporation. John was a Rotary Club Paul Harris Fellow 3 times, Man of the Year for the Arthritis Foundation, but called his work with the Von Bloomberg Center, helping the mentally challenged, his greatest achievement. He was a member of the St. Columba Catholic Church and in 2006 inducted into the Order of St. Gregory by Pope Benedict XVI. John left us in 2007. Or did he? Because as we look around Dothan today, we still see the impact he had on our community. John A. Conti, businessman, community leader, visionary, and a very good man that tonight we honor for what he did for us.
Mr. John Conti really exemplifies what you really want to see take place in your community when you see new manufacturing come into your community. And it's very evident through his career. When he moved down here with Hedstrom, worked and employed up to 1,000 folks with Hedstrom Company. What he did for his people and his workers there. He impacted their lives. He was a great example for them to live their life by. But John was very active in the community. He also knew that building the community, running an efficient plant was one thing, but also building the community and impacting lives in a very positive manner was very important as well. And we can see it through Von Bloomberg, we can see it through his charitable work, through many, many organizations, his economic development efforts. You know, I've always said I had an opportunity early in my career to meet Mr. Conti, and I always kind of considered him the father of industry for Dothan coming into our community. And he helped me throughout my career. He always really held the hands of new companies here and also those existing companies to really help them and give them the support that they needed to be successful, prosper, and overcome challenges out there. And it's just a wonderful day today to recognize his accomplishments and impact on our community. We're so thankful his family is able to be here as well, because he is a shining star and a great man for our community.
He's a tough act to follow. First of all, I'd like to thank the Dothan Chamber of Commerce and the young entrepreneurs for giving my father this award. I know he'd be thrilled. I know my mother would be thrilled also. I just want to make this short and sweet. My father was all about family. At this table, my sister Betty Ann Charles and her husband Pat Charles, my sisters Louise Conti and Patty Conti, my wife Diane, and another family that my father had, which was St. Columba Catholic Church. We have Monsignor Gallagher and Father Marr with us too, longtime family friends. I don't really have a speech. This is just something I can hang on to while I'm up here. I'd just like to say that, like I said, my father was all about family. Our immediate family, the family he had at Hedstrom. And twice today I've had people come up. I was here in town last weekend too, and I've had people come up and say, I worked at Hedstrom for a while, and I keep running into people who knew him, bought a Hedstrom product, or worked there at some point in their life. So it's a rather large family, too. And also, as I said earlier, St. Columba Catholic Church was another large family that he had, working very hard to bring it from a small building on West Main to a large church that does a lot of good charitable work. And I guess the biggest family of all would be the community of Dothan. That is the big family he really loved. He loved working at Hedstrom. He loved talking to people. He loved working with the Chamber of Commerce locally, statewide, and nationally. And like I said, I wish he could have been here to receive this. Like I said, he would have been thrilled. We are all very excited that you have done this for him. And really, I don't have much else to say, but I had a little short quote that I'd like to leave. It's from National Public Radio personality Garrison Keillor. And I think it's short, but I think it kind of sums up everything about my father. Be well, do good works, and keep in touch. Thank you.
Our next laureate was born and raised in Dothan, and after graduating from Dothan High School, he entered the U.S. Army and served in Germany during the 1950s. After returning back home, he attended and graduated from the University of Alabama. This gentleman, at one time, was even employed with the Dothan Area Chamber of Commerce as the Economic Development Officer. And he helped facilitate the location of several area employers, such as Aquil, which later was Ansel, Cine Lacquer Manufacturing Company, later Eli Lilly Company, Benthal Peanut Equipment, and good old Sunnyland Packing Company. From 1985 to 1989, he served as the mayor of Dothan. Ladies and gentlemen, Larry Register.
If there were a contest for Mr. Dothan, Larry Register would be a leading contender because most everything Larry has done in his life has directly impacted Dothan. Larry was born and raised here, graduated from Dothan High School. He later served in the U.S. Army where he earned an honorable discharge. He attended the University of Alabama where he earned a business degree. Larry Register has always been about business. In fact, early in his career, he worked as the Economic Development Officer for the Dothan Area Chamber of Commerce. His success is well documented as he helped locate several industries to Dothan. 45 years ago, Larry got the political itch and launched a successful campaign for state senator. But after a single term, he decided his contribution should be in the business arena. There is no argument that he made a good choice. Register Realty became a major player in the real estate market. Larry's honesty and integrity made the name Register one people knew they could turn to with confidence. Larry knows all too well that real estate has its ups and downs, so to diversify, he embarked on warehousing and retail development. In 1985, Larry began itching again, and with lots of business experience under his belt, was elected mayor of Dothan. After leaving office in 1989, Larry Register remained active in community and civic life. Born in Dothan, educated in Dothan, businessman in Dothan, and Dothan mayor. If we only had a Mr. Dothan honor, we suspect Larry Register might just be the recipient. And in many ways, Larry's induction into the Business Hall of Fame is a way for us to honor him for his many contributions to Dothan.
Larry and I decided we were going to play football together at Young Junior High School. I had a brand new coach, Coach O.L. Hobo Gilstrap. So we went out to practice, and we practiced for a week or so. And he immediately started calling everyone knucklehead that he didn't like, or he did like, I don't know which one. And he walked over to Larry one afternoon and he said, "Knucklehead," put his arm around him. He says, "Did you know that you can't tackle, you can't catch a ball, and you certainly can't block anybody, but we need more than just football players to make this a good football team." Says, "I'm going to appoint you as water boy." And I just saw Larry's face light up, and he smiled and says, "Thank you, Coach, thank you." And that's one of my stories. And when we were in junior high school, the family was going through Hartford on a 4-day vacation, and you both know how bad Larry drives. We got to Hartford. They have 2 red lights in Hartford. Larry ran both red lights. Needless to say, the police stopped us. They wrote Larry a ticket. Then they wrote Larry another ticket for each red light. 2 or 3 years later, we went back through Hartford, and he took a left, went down about a mile, and went another way. And I said, "Well, boy, Larry's found a shortcut to go to Mobile." And we got back over there, got back on Highway 52. I said, "Larry, what in the world did you do that for?" He says, "I'm too smart to drive to town and pay them 2 more tickets." So that's my stories on Larry. And I think that the Chamber of Commerce has selected a mighty, mighty good man for this great honor, and I'm just so glad to have such a cherished friend for over 70 years.
Good evening, everyone. My family and I and all the honorees tonight are very appreciative of you who have come out on this kind of late night for us old men, and honored us in such a way that you have. I'm appreciative of the Dothan Area Chamber of Commerce and their efforts here, and also the Dothan Area Young Professionals. I see a lot of new leadership in this group, and they're going to be very outstanding and for the future to come. Well, I thought about what to say tonight. This is the first time I've ever been invited to speak about myself and all my businesses. So I thought it needs to be something that's a little bit out of the ordinary. And I began to think about what it would be, and my mind kept coming back to the various jobs that I've held. I started to work very early in life and have continued almost up to the present. So I want to tell you about some of that work I did, and maybe it'll give you some perspective about who I am. The work has been very good to me and what I am and what my family is to this day. But my first opportunity to work in the world of marketing was when I was about 5 or 6 years old. I had on short pants. That tells you how long ago that's been. So my sister, who loved me dearly, and my brother, who loved me dearly, came to the conclusion that I needed a job. And so they prepared kindling. I hope that most of you know what kindling is. In the old days, you used it to start a fire. Most of us had fireplaces and burned coal. And so my brother chopped the kindling wood about 12 inches long, and my sister wrapped wire around it, and then we had maybe 10, 15 sticks in there. So they mounted me, they set me right by the walkway where people were coming, by our neighbors. And so they heated their homes with that kindling. And I just looked back, I started early, but it wasn't consistent. The next thing about my sister had another idea how I could come, I won't say become self-supporting, but could come enriched a little bit. So she had me sell boiled peanuts on the streets of Dothan. Now, anybody my age, and maybe some just a little bit younger, will remember that in Dothan there was dozens of youngsters in the summertime going through the city calling out boiled peanuts, 10 cents a bag. Not 10 cents a bag, but 10 cents a bag. That was a slogan, and that'll bring back memories to some of you. So anyway, after working and selling that kindling, I got an additional start, an additional perspective there. So time passes, and I did the peanuts, and then I had an opportunity about the time I started high school to work as a clerk in a grocery store. And this meant that I would kind of be the cleanup person and the sweeper and the cashier operator and everything. It was very beneficial to me in knowledge of the public and dealing with them. The store was located on what was then called Long Atlanta Street. I don't know the real difference, but the next street over was Atlanta Street. And Roy Schutz, a native of Dothan, had a little store there, and I had that experience. So then one of my most enjoyable jobs was working as a doorman in the Davis Theaters, at the Martin Theater, the Ritz Theater, that Rufus Davis sponsored and had here in town. They're all gone now, but it's quite an honor to be a doorman. All you had to do was tear the tickets and then sometime administer a little discipline for young people when they got out of hand. Another favorite job of mine, still in high school, was as film editor at WTVY TV. The station had recently come online, and they needed someone who would scratch emulsion on this piece of tape and this video tape, and then put them together and glue them. It's interesting that when you did that, your job was to make sure that there was enough infill that would make it where everything would come out on time, on the minute, that sort of way. We weren't very experienced with that, so if we came in about 5 minutes from the station break, we felt like we had been doing good. I had the pleasure of working with F.E. Busby, who many of you know and many of you will remember as a friend, and I certainly enjoyed that particular work. And then later on, my senior year in college, I secured a job at the Houston Hotel. That is the WTVY TV building that you're all familiar with in Dothan today. And so I worked there after school, and one night a week I'd go all night and do the night shift and then go to school the next day. I can't imagine that happening today, but we certainly did it back then. So anyway, in those days, the military had first claim on you when you finished high school or moved up another year or two. And there was something called universal military training. That meant all the young males had to go off to take basic training, take a specialty, and then go into the military. So I did that. I had 2 years. You saw some of the pictures up in the presentation earlier. So I had 2 years where I was a forward air controller in Germany, and enjoyed very immensely and learned a great deal about Germany and about the military, maybe a little bit too much about the military. And I knew I didn't want a career there. So anyway, that was a wonderful time for me, taking it all in all. So that kind of that kind of did me into my work, being in the military, being in the Army for 2 years. And I spent the 2 years, as I mentioned, over in Germany, and enjoyed that. So my brother, who's here tonight, was a pretty fast talker, not in the sense of pushing something over the top, but he encouraged me that I need to go to college. So he guided me to go up to Troy State University for a year, and that was my freshman year. And I also had a job there doing cabinet work in a little carpenter shop up there. And time passed, and I went to the University of Alabama for 3 years and worked with Alabama Gas District. I don't know why I'm compelled to say this, but it just seems like this is a part of who I am and who our next generation should be, because all my siblings and their siblings have done work in various places for our company and for other opportunities. Felton Woodham, my friend who spoke earlier, gave my son Forrest a job on a jackhammer. And he was about 15 years old, and that gave him a big education. All he knew when he got through, he had never worked for Felton Woodham again. And that held for a little while, but he went back to work, and that was that experience. I'll tell you how I got into economic development work. I was coming out of the university and did not have a pre-placed job, so I went down to Montgomery and got a job doing economic development. That is promoting industry and manufacturing in the state of Alabama. I enjoyed that immensely, one of my favorite jobs, because we had the opportunity to create jobs and make things happen. I took personally charge of a project to attract the Southern Pine plywood mills coming into Alabama. So I worked primarily in southwest Alabama, some over this way, but I enjoy this, just a sense of reward with all those things happening. And then I came to work with the Dothan Area Chamber of Commerce. I didn't expect that I would be there, but a little matter came up, which I had some knowledge of, and Rufus Davis again comes back into the picture, and he invited me to come to Dothan and meet with a team that were going to hire an economic development. So I came and had a very successful 4 years. We were ones to, we brought the first rubber industry, the manufacturing of prophylactics and gloves into Dothan. And they had a spin-off. They promised us 300 jobs. They had 500 jobs in Dothan, probably another 500 jobs in 2 outlying plants that were here. The work of the Chamber of Commerce was my best work. I enjoyed doing that work more than anything I've ever done. It was so rewarding to me to do the same thing I'd done with the state of Alabama. The time came, and Sue and I were married in 1967. I met Sue when I was a judge, along with a gentleman many of you know named Bill Baxley, and we were the bachelors in town. So we got to invite, I don't know why, but we got invited to judge many of the contests called beauty contests. So Sue won the contest, and it wasn't long before she and I and Bill were judges again, and she won me, which was not a great deal, but anyway, we've been married for all these 48 years, I believe. So anyway, I soon went into real estate brokerage, and everything you touched seemed to turn to gold. It was a seller's market, and things came quick and easy. And then there was a recession. All I was here for me with the current recession. This was a time I was depending on brokerage business, brokerage sales, and we just didn't have anything coming in for 6 months, so I didn't make a sale. So I learned some lessons from that. One, I knew that when good times come, I was going to buy income-producing property. Every time the bank would lend me a few dollars, and they did that. And we've accumulated leasing property and leased to a number of tenants now. A couple of those shopping centers and warehouses, some restaurants, and kind of you get the drift, just about anything that came along. So the after effects of that were, after leaving the chamber, where we did less residential work and did more commercial and farm work, and that was good for us, and we prospered there. So all these things have been very good for us. We now operate several things, and one is the self-storage business that goes under the name of American Self-Storage. We have 5 locations in Dothan, 1 in Ozark, 1 in Enterprise. We have about 2,000 customers that are with us on any given day. So we've grown to be the largest self-storage facility in this edge of the state, maybe a little bit bigger geographic area. So things have been good. I've had the joy of many things. My wife and family members who are here are scattered out in several areas have been the backbone of the business. And we have a lady named Teresa who's here, who is also the current backbone of the business. She keeps us moving very, very well. Bob Woodall could identify with that, because you hear the sign, I see the sign, call Bob. We call Teresa. So we've kind of got a Bob stand in for us. So things have been great. And I've enjoyed being back in Dothan and being in the league with all the people who've been honored tonight. And I thank you very much for coming out and being with us. God bless you all.
I just slipped him a little cash there for saying that. Our last laureate has spent his entire life connecting people and linking lives. He began forging those links in the field of education, serving for 36 years as a teacher, a principal, system administrator, and interim Dothan City School superintendent, and also a college professor. After retirement, he became the president of Wiregrass Rehabilitation Center. He has nurtured WRC as a business with social purpose, reaching huge goals, and achieving extraordinary accomplishments. Dr. Jack Sasser.
Maybe it is the words of Dr. Jack Sasser that best sum up his life. He said the concept that an individual should be defined by the goals they reach, by the heights which they soar, and by what they do rather than what they cannot do is advocated highly each day. Those words were in regard to the organization Jack leads, the Wiregrass Rehabilitation Center. But an examination of Jack Sasser's life quickly reveals it is the words by which he lives. Dr. Jack L. Sasser has spent his entire life soaring to new heights, not for his personal gain, but for the progress of a community that spans 3 states and thousands of people. Dr. Sasser began forging links in the field of education, serving 36 years as a teacher, principal, interim Dothan City School superintendent, and in other positions. After retiring from education, Dr. Sasser was anything but retired. He took over as administrator, now president of Wiregrass Rehabilitation Center, taking a budget of barely $1.5 million to more than $10 million annually. Under Dr. Sasser's guidance, a work center was transformed into 2 thriving retail stores, and more than 18,000 people with disabilities have been helped in overcoming vocational barriers and getting a job. Jack's work has not gone unnoticed. Because of his leadership, Wiregrass Rehab Center was recognized as the 2010 Outstanding Facility of the Year. Dr. Sasser's contributions to the community are unsurpassed. He is past president of the Dothan Rotary Club, where he has twice been honored as a Paul Harris Fellow. And in 2011, he was named Rotarian of the Year. He is a member of the Dothan Area Chamber of Commerce and a former board member of several organizations, as well as a recipient of the W. Robert Brown Andalusia High School Outstanding Graduate Award. So if, as Dr. Sasser says, a person should be defined by the goals they reach and to heights they soar, we no doubt need a strong pair of binoculars to see the heights Dr. Jack Sasser has reached. Dr. Jack L. Sasser, educator, administrator, friend, and a person who always worked hard at his job so others could have a job.
Well, little did we know back in 1996 when we were in desperate search for a new executive director, what an extraordinary find we would have in Jack Sasser. Now since 1996, as we look at the extraordinary growth at the Rehab Center, his passion, his energy, the way he deeply cares about people, we look back on the greatest era in Wiregrass rehabilitation history. Jack has been much more than a leader. He's been a great friend. If you have the opportunity to work with a center on the board or as a client, you find out what an extraordinary person he is. He cares deeply about people. In my case in particular, as a board member, Jack walked through a personal crisis with me. Just over 6 years ago, discovered that one of my children had a prescription drug addiction. And we reached out to Jack. He gave us an opportunity for my son to work at the center, and through 5 or 6 years walked with me and my son through a difficult period of recovery and a success story. During that period, in the hard times, you find out what a deep, caring person Dr. Sasser is. When things looked bad, he was always there with an encouraging word, a few minutes to sit down and talk, and often he'd reach around and pull a book off the bookshelf and say, "You know what, Les, I think you'd find a lot of help if you'd read this book, because I think it addresses a lot of the things you're going through." And the Andy Andrews books, and even in the last year, as I've gone through a big transition at work and a new leadership role, as I was having a heart-to-heart talk with him about my struggles, he reached around, pulled out some Pat Lencioni books, gave me 3 of them, and they hit the spot. They were just what I needed. So he's far more than just a leader, passionate about helping our consumers, energetic, always thinking outside the box, doing new and different things to help people, but he deeply, personally cares about the clients, the consumers, the board members, everybody that he has contact with. Jack, you've been a great friend, a mentor. We walked through a lot together. I can't think of anyone who deserves this honor more than you.
Good evening, and thanks so many of you for coming tonight. For whomever you come, I feel like you came for me. I wrote a speech I was going to use tonight, but I knew in writing it that I wouldn't use it. I'm going to pull it out, and I'm going to use 3 notes from it. That's the best I can do. In 1957, I came back from a 3-year tour in Ethiopia. I came to Troy State to start the college. I walked into an English class. I sat down by the prettiest young girl you've ever seen. I'd seen her walking in, and she kind of swayed a little bit, you know. And so I got to know her real quickly. 3 months later, we were married. She has been with me through a BS degree, a master's degree, and a year beyond the master's, a doctorate degree, 2 children, 36 years in education, and 18 years in rehabilitation. I'd like for my wife, Arlene, to stand. And one more thing. I want you to know that I thought I loved her in 1957, 58. I know I love her now. You know what the biggest thrill in life is? Is to hear a person with disabilities say, "Hey, Doc!" And then to see the smile on their face, because they know it's okay to be that familiar. Some of them even call me Jack. That's okay too, if that makes them happy. When I finished college in 1960, there weren't any teaching jobs, but I had an opportunity to get a job at a reform school in Florida. I went to work down there and I taught classes that had 60 students in them, juvenile delinquents. 3 years later, I became principal of the school, and they told me they just had a court order to integrate. So I had a black school with 400 students and a white school with 400 students, all delinquents. I was scared to death. I didn't know what I was going to do. But I did what I should. I integrated the school, began to know the youngsters, began to convince them that I believed in them, I trusted them, and I knew that they could do whatever they set their minds to. And they began to believe that. And as that happened, I learned very quickly, the only difference in us is the color of our skin. That deep down, we all need the same things. As I went through education, I was convinced of that even more. I went back and got a master's degree, and I got a certificate in special education because I wanted to know more about working with those who had handicaps. I came to Dothan, and after 3 years, moved into the superintendent's office and began teaching at Troy State. For 18 years, I taught at Troy State. And again, as I worked in the school system, I again learned that if you convinced folks you cared, then you could do something with them. And I also learned something that I believe was said by Thomas Edison. Our greatest weakness lies in giving up. The most certain way to succeed is to try one more time. I sincerely hope that in this life of working with people that I've tried one more time. I never considered myself a businessman, and really think they stretched the definition in selecting me tonight. However, when I came to the Rehabilitation Center, I had a wonderful board that gave me an opportunity. They listened when I made recommendations, they supported me when I needed, and we began to grow the center so that we could grow to help more people. We began a program of expanding the center. And I called back upon all the things I'd ever learned in my life and used those at the center, because I began working when I was 10 years old. My father was a sharecropper. He barbered on Saturday to try to save money to buy a farm. Finally, he did. When he bought the farm, it was a one-horse farm, but he did have a horse and a mule. And so he said, I got to have somebody to follow one of these animals. He said, "You're younger than I am, so you get behind the horse, because it'll move faster." So I had to run to keep up with that horse as it pulled a plow, but I did. In the ninth grade, I got a job working in a shoe store. For 4 years, I sold shoes. Then I went to the Army, came back, and sold shoes again to get through college. I learned very quickly there was dignity in work, that anything I did was okay, and that I could convince others that any work they did was okay as I worked with students, then things would move along. So going back to the center, so we began a program to try to expand the center to make a difference in the lives of those with whom we work. And I guess that somebody was looking after us because everything we did worked. I don't know why. It was because people were working together, and I had that wonderful staff that's still at the center, and so many of them are here tonight. People who believed in what they were doing, who cared about people, and wanted to make a difference. So anyway, we were able to build a new work center with 90,000 square feet, to build a pallet building, a loan services building, to build a new building for the Department of Industrial Relations and rent it to them for the unemployment office, to double the space that the state rented from us for the vocational rehabilitation programs, to expand the food service program by doubling its space so that we could grow that program. And on, we have been very successful with the help of so many people that I can see in this audience. I'm not going to call your names because I'd miss somebody, but I want to say thank you to every one of you for being my mentor through all these years. I'm going to close now with just simply saying that basically, I believe in people. I believe that there's more good than bad. That if you want to look for bad, you'll find it. But if you'll get the past and look to the future, you have a chance to make a difference in their lives. I thank you for this award. I thank you for the opportunity that I've had to work in Dothan with people with disabilities. Thank you.
You can stay up. We're about to leave. Thank you once again. One more round of applause. Greatness was in this house. Thank you for taking the time. Life is fast and busy, and thank you for taking your time to be here, and have a good evening. Thank you.